those three white guys thought they could just get away with anything. The law, even though you have a boat dock worker there who's a black guy, they don't have to listen to him because he's less than. And I can put my hands on him and beat him up, and nobody's going to care. So they had all that pent up stuff that's happening in Alabama with the South of rising up, which they do want to rise up, and all the pent up racism is up there, and so it was acted out at that time.
And
And
I'm sure they
got vengeance.
I'm sure they felt empowered, Colonel, when you think about the fact that when they see that their government defies the Supreme Court ruling,
Yes.
and I guess they said, well, if my government can defy the Supreme
Yep.
Court ruling, I can defy the law as well. So you're teaching them that, adherence to the law is something that does not apply to them,
The law don't mean anything to these Confederates, white folks, Confederates. It don't mean nothing. Not a thing.
Yeah, let me make a point here. I made a mistake in the beginning, and those just joining, we popped up a little late because I hadn't pushed the to go live button. But you got most of the. We were talking about the incident that happened in Montgomery, Alabama, where the dock worker was attacked by a mob of white men, and three of those men that instigated it have been charged and warrants issued for their arrest, which I think all of them are in custody now. So someone is being held accountable, and that's what's going on. And and it's sort of ironic as well. They have their first black mayor. That I think he's the first black mayor ever in Montgomery, Alabama. Am I correct?
I think you're right, James. And
I'm
I'll
not
check
sure
that back
about that.
out for you.
I think they probably had somebody else before him.
Okay, we have to check that. I thought I heard someone say that, but that might not be true because that's a long time to never have had a. But if it's going to happen, I guess it will happen there. So
Yeah.
I won't until we can research that. I won't hold it to that. But anyway, he is there, and his statement was very fair. He doesn't condone the violence, but people have to be held accountable. And I think the guy, the
Mayor
policeman,
Reed,
that was
excuse me, James. Mayor Reed is the first African American to hold that position in
Yes.
Montgomery.
okay. Okay, so we can go with that.
Yes.
And was that the police chief that was giving the press conference? Because he looks like he was African American as well, or maybe he's the information officer. I'm not sure, but either way, the people that were involved were fair in what they were doing. So, and that just goes to show you, just like if you talk about white fear, like Roy Martin has in his book, some of the people, they fear that we're going to do the same thing to them as they did to us for over 400 years, which is not the case. We just want fairness. We just want people held accountable for the things they have done. So,
Well, it's not going to
but
be accountability until you get them to court, and you get
yeah,
them.
you have to take it to the full ride and see what happens there. But I think it's a good start, letting them know. Yeah, and I think they have to pay the consequences, but I think they learned a good lesson.
Uh,
You never know where we come. When that
and, and it's not,
they could have ran when they saw that hat go up. They should have, but they didn't know that was a sign.
Yeah.
and it's not the old South anymore where we have to bow our heads and walk
Yeah.
away. That day
No,
is gone.
Well, no,
and I think that had a lot to do with it. People are just tired
Yeah, they're
of
tired.
being, you know, that happening to us over and over, and nobody's held accountable. So for that moment, they took it in their own
Yes, they
hands,
did.
just to make sure they protect. Because they could have killed that brother.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Well, it's a temporary victory because Alabama has a long history. Yes, you can arrest those three white guys, but they will be acquitted at court. They'll never be. That's the problem you'll have down in Alabama. Can they get a trial that of their peers that somebody's not going to be a trumper that's just going to stand up and says, "My white brothers are not going to jail," and all you need to do is have one. and that's going to
Yeah,
be.
I guess it'd be interesting to see what that jury pool looks like.
It don't make no difference. All they have to do is have one. They'll pick out one Trumper. That's all you know, and he'll be undercover Trumper, and he'll go back there and says, "Nope, there was nothing ever happened."
Yeah, I think those guys are going to pay, but we'll see. We'll see. I think it's just with all the attention it's getting and things like that. But I think they're going to have to pay. But we had to bring that up because it's stirred up a lot of conversations and jokes about the folding chairs and it also sort of that song that was out that people were having problem with. Don't come to a small town or something like that. Some people were saying that song. Have y'all heard? You know what song I'm talking about? Y'all heard that song where it's a country singer, and he
Uh-huh.
had a
Oh
song about
yeah.
"Don't come to my small town." Now, the actual, and I listened to the words. The words didn't have, to me, racial overtones. But if you look at the video, the
And it was
video
yes.
was where there was the problem.
Right.
And if he's talking like that, why wouldn't he have a video of the insurrection? You he had Black Lives Matter videos, of people, you know,
Because
in the streets. So
they don't see that as being an insurrection, unfortunately.
right.
You
So
know,
it was the video that caused the problem, and people just listen to the word and say, "Well, what's the problem? I don't see the problem." No, you have to watch that video. It was
Yeah.
all it was all in there. The code words were all in there. Who he was actually
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But the words don't.
And getting back to Montgomery, 60% of the population in Montgomery is African American. So, that's why that line runs through Selma up in that area there. That's why they got that one district there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's about 60% of the population there are African Americans.
And about maybe even less than 20% of them vote are eligible voters.
Probably so. Probably so.
But
Even in such a historical place as that, with the history that's
Yeah.
there, you would think that they would have at least 90%. 90% of the citizens would be voters.
you know what? If 90% of them came out and cast a vote, a ballot, they could overwhelm and overwhelm the polls and still in upset, and they could take all the offices there because there's more black folks out there
Exactly.
than anything.
No, Colonel, your cough is contagious. It went
Yeah, I
straight to
know it.
Leah.
It jumped to the screen for me.
Jumped right through the screen.
Right to the screen.
So how, it's anybody, you all been keeping up with what's going on locally? It's been, I've watched some of the council meetings. And I think I'm gonna have to start attending them. Leah, I know for a while you were attending them, and you get a lot more out of actually being there and sitting there. When there was all the craziness going on, it was kind of something that I couldn't sit there and stomach,
Exactly.
because I wanted to see, the system in action, doing things for the city or the promises they made. Things have gotten a little bit more civil. I still see some things, but that's something you're going to see with any council there.
Yeah.
But and of course, if you still have some of the people that were a part of what some of us might consider the problem still there, you're going to have those issues. But
I went out Tuesday night. I didn't get there on time. I was a little late getting there, but it was a little more civil this meeting than I had experienced at the last meeting, and that was the reason why I had stopped going as well, because I got tired of seeing the fighting going on and no real work getting done. So I went back this past Tuesday. It was civil. They seemed to get some things done. So I don't know how it's going to be the next time, but I thought I would give it another try last Tuesday, because it's very disheartening when you go and you see that fighting going on, and then you try to go out here and talk to children about how to be civil and how to talk to each other and how to respect each other, and you cannot impart that to children when they see it taking place nationally on the state level, as well as the local level.
Yeah.
The civility is just not there. So it was good Tuesday night to see no real fighting going on. I don't know what happened prior to my getting there, but at least that last hour or so when I was there, things were pretty civil.
Mhm. But you
Yeah,
know,
and go ahead. I'm sorry, Colonel. Go ahead.
but on the flip side of that, when you talk about the Senate Council, what is mostly disheartening is they started this movement for the recall that is all but died.
Yes, gone by the wayside.
And that is a complete failure of whoever was behind that. They failed.
Yeah, and I don't know what I think. Well, I don't know why. Someone will have to tell me. If you ask somebody, you get. If you ask a few people, you get just as many answers about what really happened there. I knew they wanted to be careful and make sure that they had all the ducks in a row before they went in there. You didn't want to do all that work and then present it to the who clerk
Electoral
of
board,
court,
circuit court. Uh-huh.
the circuit court,
Yeah.
and to get thrown out because you didn't you had the double signatures and all those things. So they were trying to be meticulous in that, and because in the beginning they saw some of that happening. I think they started out and you had all these different groups doing the same thing, but they hadn't communicated with each other.
Mhm.
So you had people out there not really following the rules. So right in the middle of it, they had to sort of regroup. And by that time, you had people that either lost interest or saying, I'm not going to sign again. I signed one time, so
Uh-huh.
the momentum and everything sort of slowed down. And I think the reality of them not thinking or being able to get enough votes, you know, if the momentum had kept going like it started, they might have done it. But, they should have had a meeting of the minds first and make sure they came out of the gate organized rather than finding out halfway through that everything wasn't like it should be.
So you're saying they did not get enough, or they just didn't turn it in?
Well, I can only assume if they haven't turned it in, it's a problem somewhere. Either they don't feel like they have enough, or they don't feel like they have enough uh, that will pass the muster. I think they might have seen some irregularities within, the signatures collected. Might have been some people not in Portsmouth, whatever it was. Because it sounded like at some time some people told me they had enough. They just wanted to make sure they had more than enough.
Well, see,
So
turn it in anyway. You turn it in anyway. What it sounds like is somebody probably got to them. Because if you don't turn it in, then something's wrong. So you let the city registrar figure out the double figures, double and up there. You turn in enough that you think it's going to be enough, but at least you have a shot of making your number versus you have no shot if you don't turn it in, which is a victory for the two people they were trying to recall. And then also goes to the conspiracy theory. Did they get did something happen to them, the organizers, and did they get caught, bought off or whatever for some reason?
yeah, it really makes you look bad when you come out as strong as they did, and early on saying how close they were, and I even heard, like I said earlier, they had the numbers. They just wanted to have more, and to come out that strong and be that strong, and then all of a sudden fizzle like it did.
Yeah.
And if I was one of the ones who were being recalled, I would be saying, nah, 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 nah. I know that's childish, but that's the kind of thing I would be, doing, uh, you know, because the way they came out. So now they just going about their business like
It's shameful.
nothing's going to happen to them, and it probably won't. So it's going to be up to the voters to decide whether they want to keep them or not. Now, what's encouraging to me when I watch the city council now, I see it looks like a lot of them, most of them are really prepared. I mean,
Yeah.
they read the information that they got. Still have one that I don't think he's really paying attention because that was evident to me with some of the questions he asked
You can
of the
always
city
have other
manager.
questions.
You
You can
know,
always have other
and
questions.
some of the questions he asked, I knew, and I'm not
Exactly.
even on council from just keeping up with what's going on. And some things you can't, you have to know the responsibilities of some of the boards, and you can't, just like the EDA, you can't bring everything out in the open what EDA is doing because a lot of times they are dealing with companies, and before they can tie down the contracts, they can't let that information out
Yeah.
for competition reasons, or the companies will back away. So my point is, you have to know the responsibilities and the makeup. I mean, what the duties of these commissions are before you try to bring something to the public that shouldn't be brought. Now, there are liaisons, two liaisons on each of those major boards that can bring back information. But especially that board, you can't just bring everything
Yeah.
that to light to the public because you want it, because some things are very sensitive, and you have to know
Yeah. Well, the elders would say, bless his heart,
that.
because we already know a certain person up there does not have the bandwidth to understand that. That's why they ask the court. They don't come prepared, for one, can't understand uh, the material that is put out before them, and three is that just want to showboat and is glad just to be there. So I'm on the inside so I can get my payoffs or whatever, allegedly, get in and move on. But as the old folks say, bless his heart.
Yeah, but you must realize too that if you're talking about the four horsemen like you used to call them, and if it's just two now, it's one of them up there, that has brought up some issues that, that's why it's kind of perplexing sometimes, which way you want to go with uh, Dr. Whitaker, because when I when he was on there before, I really thought we needed someone like him because he brings up issues that would not be brought up, especially that might be significant in the African American communities. And he's still doing that. I don't know if we didn't. Hopefully, if he wasn't there, that somebody else would pick up that mantle and do that because we might not have heard about the golf course situation and some other things that he brings up, whether you agree with everything he does or not. But some of those things would not come up. Some of those issues that are important to our communities might not come up if he didn't bring them up.
Doesn't mean a thing. They can bring it up. He never comes up with a solution. Brings up the golf course. What happened to it? Where's the study? What is that actionable payback for that complaint? You complain. Nah. I got a complaint. But there is no plan and no actionable progress done to solve the problem. That's
Yep. Well, when it was brought up, they started paying. They didn't pay what they should, and I don't know where that is now. But after all those years, all of a sudden, bam, you see them making a payment, or at least I saw one payment. I'm not going to say payments. They might have done that because it was the eyes were on them, but uh, it did spark that kind of action from them
so
to make a payment.
I got away with a 10-year crime. If you didn't pay your taxes over 10 years, they would go back and make you pay back that money. If I didn't pay my
Yeah, I
taxes,
agree, and that probably needs to be done. I hope that's in the works. But just like you said, after a while things die down, and you wonder if the motor is still turning, in the background. And I guess now that's in the city attorney's hands, to follow up with that and come up with any kind of legal remedies, or turn it over to to the Commonwealth attorney or
that's if
whoever
they turned it
has the power to enforce that.
Enforce it, yeah.
Yeah, but that's if they turned it over to her. That's the question. And I
Mhm.
bet a dollar to a donut, they did not turn it over to her. They just kept it within that circle there. And the golf course wised up and says, I better send a check over there. Just don't drop it and make it bounce. And we'll start from here. I'll start paying my share, a share here, and I'll get them folks off my back before we can establish any criminality to it. Because the criminality piece to it, yes, I have not paid my taxes for yay years. B is who cut that deal, and are they still around on the city of Portsmouth payroll? And then 3, what's going to happen to them? And then 4, why did successive city managers, assistant city managers, and all that staff let it get away? Because you should be looking at every piece of property that's supposed to pay taxes in there every year to do an audit, or you audit a certain amount every year to make sure that, and so over a period of time, everybody is covered to make sure that it's done. It's not being done that way, because they would have not escaped this kind of stuff unless there's graft.
Yeah, well, to my point, those questions, just like you asked, and were asked, and then they were told not to harass the city employee in the council meeting. And those questions had to be asked and had to be answered, but it was sort of tempered by
they asked
by the mayor, and not to go after those people in the meeting. So maybe that was fair in a way, but that doesn't mean you stop. So even if you have to call her into a meeting, a private meeting, you have to continue. But I think those questions should have been answered in public.
Yeah, well, you could put the city council meeting. Well, I'm a city council meeting. I would put it back into a memo for request for information. Ask all those questions, and you have but so long to give me that answer. If I come up with this at the next city meeting, so I could put it to the public. Because and you put
that remains to be seen, and that's why it's important to pay attention. Whether you can stomach some of the meetings, I think they're easier to stomach now.
Yeah.
But to pay attention, because a lot of things come up, and we've seen this over the years. And Leah, you can attest to this. We've seen it over the years with several different councils. All these things come up, and it looks good when they out there talking about it in public, and then you never hear about it again.
Exactly.
They say, I'm going to check into that, or I'm going to check into that. And unless you have somebody up there that keeps bringing it up,
you don't hear about it anymore.
You don't hear about it anymore. And whether whoever keeps bringing it up gets on your nerves, or he come again with that, some of those issues have to, you have to hold whoever's responsible providing that information. You have to hold them to the fire.
Yeah, and just
and that's why so many of those stories, those issues just go away, because beyond public meetings, once they take it to somewhere else and say we're going to study it, you never heard from it again.
Well, that's why you have to put it on paper. You ask for it. Here's my 10 questions, as an example, for requests for information on this particular topic. And then you give it to the city manager, and I need an answer in 2 weeks. And then that makes it and then somebody's signature has to be on it. And she's not going to sign for it if somebody else down the road is in trouble and been getting away with murder. So they're going to come up with an answer. And with that legal piece of paper, when she brings it back, that I could take it back. If it don't smell right, then I take it down to the city attorney and the Commonwealth attorney or whoever and say, I need to have this investigated because they told us this and I think it is this. So I need to have an investigation. It don't cost that $80,000 to get what was that, 300,000 to get 80 back or whatever they were doing.
Mhm.
They could do it internal to do this. They ain't cost them a dime, but other than some man hours to investigate this. Easy.
Well, we solved the city's problems, I see.
They lucky I ain't on the city or down
I'm
there
telling
running
you.
things.
But you almost have to keep a book with a running record of the stuff that's asked so that you can see if anything comes of it, because quite a few things are asked of the city manager. And once people leave, people tend to forget. So you
Mm-hmm.
almost have to keep a running record. So, well, what happened with this? What happened with this? What happened with that? So you
Mm-hmm.
can see what has taken place.
Yeah, and maybe we can get some of those people to come on Portsmouth Coffee Talk and
Right,
talk about
right,
that.
right.
I don't see why it would be a problem because we have a public forum here and give people opportunity to come up and talk about it if it's within their rules. But anything that they can talk about publicly at that meeting, they can
They
talk
should be
about
able to talk
on this
about it.
forum
Yeah.
here. We don't have to speculate. If you don't want to hear us speculating what we think should be done or how or what's being done, well, we're going by what we see.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people like myself are going by experience, what we've seen over the years, and we've seen the same type of thing happen where it comes out and it's the flavor of the month and then it dies. And then 5 years down the road, somebody brings it up like it's new.
It's back out
Yep.
again.
And it's something that, it's been buried until somebody else brings it up.
Right,
So
right, right.
consistency, and once you bring these things up, and that's what I was saying, you need somebody that's going to be consistent with it and not always. It's good to bring up new issues all the time, but don't let what I asked last month keep sliding by
Hmm.
when you said you're going to bring me back a report, and that happens a lot.
It does.
Well, that's why you have to have a problems list or a problems list and an action list. I
Mm-hmm.
explain the problem here, and then we're going to follow up on what happened in the action, and then we'll do for a recap later on in a few months. But that way doesn't die. You just keep listing them out, and then I got to have over here on my action list what happened. 1, 2, 3, 4, and put across here. This is what we did. This is what we found. And this is the results of it in the how we mitigated those problems. If not, then we have to go back. This is what I need to do to fix it. And then you keep following back, and that could be, and you do that for the whole year.
Hmm.
Easy.
Yeah, and go ahead, Leah. You were going to say something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to switching off for a minute there. I did a video maybe last month, and I call it the tale of two cities in one city, and I might have talked about it last week. But let me know how you feel about this because what we're experiencing here in the city of Portsmouth, we see in a lot of other cities, but it's so to go to some events and see one side of Portsmouth and then to hear the crime is still going on like it is, and you're just wondering where are we getting anywhere as far as the crime or are we just going to these events and having a good time and as long as it's not affecting us personally, because I'm one of them, I go there and have a good
Hmm.
time, and I say, wow, this can't be the same city that a lot of people are worried about walking or sitting on their porch because people are getting shot, young kids are getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Now they're robbing mailmen,
Yeah, yeah,
the trusted mailman in the neighborhood that nobody bothered.
exactly.
Now that's an issue. So are we? I understand that we have to have that leisure time, and sometimes it's good to sit back and relax and fellowship. But are we? Where are we going as far as how are we advancing as far as dealing with this crime thing? Because it just seems like while we're doing that, the people are still out there doing just as much, and in some cities, crime is up.
I think that we once again need to try again to get Chief Jenkins to come onto the show. He gave a report Tuesday night about all this new equipment that he has purchased. It's supposed to be able to tell you where shots been fired, and something that's put up that it get the license plates and when you drive through certain communities. I don't have the technical names of all of the items that he mentioned, but he mentioned a number of items that he has that their recent city recently have acquired, and it's supposed to help with the crime rate. So I'm hoping that he would be willing to come on to Portsmouth Coffee Talk and share with the citizens. I know you can see it if you go onto the city's page for the city council meeting, but I think he can touch a different demographic of individuals if we could get him on here to talk about those things and what he's doing to address the crime issue in the
Mhm.
city of Portsmouth.
Mhm. True, and if I acquired it, has it been exported? And
That's what we need to know. You
it's
know,
still sitting in the boxes down there in the warehouse. And then
Yeah, because I've been hearing about the talk of that,
yeah,
the shots thing for a long time,
yeah.
and I thought they were already in place, and I guess some of them,
Yes,
what he
yes.
was saying, some things are in place,
Some things
but,
are.
but and I guess it'll take a while for the shot identifying things. I guess I'll have to be convinced about that because if somebody you identify the shot was in front of my house, how long does it take? Are the people that commit or shoot during the shooting, are they gonna stand around after they shot?
And how long is it
How
going to
long? So
take the police to get there? How long is it going to take the
yeah.
police to get to where it has taken place? You know?
So it might have its advantages, but I would have to be convinced and how effective that would be, and the cost of putting those in. But maybe it is something that could deter. They say they identify where the shots are coming from. Well, all they have to do is ask us. Was we hear
yeah,
we
but
hear them all the time? Yeah, it was right around the corner, right on Magnolia Street. So
it's not going to pin. That technology is not there to pinpoint. So it give you a general idea where it came from in the area, and depending on how much they paid for the equipment, but it's not going to pinpoint. And like you say, I got to have what's my response time till I can get somebody from not eating a donut down in the donut shop to get in a car, start it up, and drive over there to where the gunfire went off. That's
yeah,
that whole technology is a nice sell for somebody who made a big bump by selling it to the government, city government.
yeah, I can appreciate you trying to do something, and Leah, you're right. Maybe the best way is to have him to come on, and maybe he can convince us.
Right.
I don't think we're the only ones, or I'm the only one that have my doubts about the effectiveness of it as far as reducing crime. Uh,
Mhm.
it might be something that would help, the police force and sort of pinpointing where it's coming from. But once you do that, then they move away. So then, I mean, is it something that's citywide? Because we're seeing crimes taking places in, and I'll use this non-traditional neighborhoods,
Uh-huh.
areas where, and if anybody might get upset with me putting it that way, but some neighborhoods that you don't traditionally see crime, and it's happening everywhere. So,
Mhm.
and I've heard them mention certain neighborhoods where some of these things are being put up, and that might be rightfully so because the stats show that a lot of the crimes are concentrated there. But
Uh-huh.
people are getting shot in neighborhoods that he didn't mention. So, he had to come on there. I guess you have to be skeptical about, all these things that they're saying they're going to do, and you still see a rise in crime. And I
Exactly.
guess it takes a
Exactly.
while for it to um, to show any kind of results. But
Yeah, how do you?
we've been dealing with this for a while now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do you measure the effectiveness of this technology? And
Yeah.
then
And where has it been used before, and what are the
yeah,
stats that come with that? You know?
yeah,
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll try to get him on, and because I hope he's not the type that wants to go where everybody agrees. or he can just, say what he seems to me like somebody that's ready that can answer or ready to answer the tough questions. That's what I've seen from him, as far as with city council, and then at some meetings, specifically he's been in.
Well, we need
He,
to ask him and see. He can always say yay or nay,
Mm-hmm.
and then we move on with from there with him. So give him the opportunity to come on, or his want to designate someone to come on his behalf. At least come and talk to us and tell us about what's going
Send,
on.
send the spokesman down.
Yeah, and share with the citizens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes, it's good to have a spokesman, but I hope if he sends a
I hope
spokesman,
it would be him. Yeah,
I
I hope he would be
hope
one.
he's yeah, because I think it's a young lady that's one of the high ranking or second in
Yeah,
charge with
yeah,
him. I can't
yeah,
remember her name.
yeah.
If we can't get him, I think she would be a good choice to come on
Uh-huh.
here. As long as he gives her the freedom to answer the questions,
And,
Yeah.
and, plus, and
as
plus,
they come.
they brought Prince back. He is one of the assistant chiefs now as well.
Yeah, I remember you
Prince is
told you.
back.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he's back
Interesting.
in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Let's for a minute here. Let's go national again, and that's why I wanted John Gans to come on because he lives in Texas, and we'll get him back on another time. We have one of these host talks. He lives in Texas, where Texas is dealing with a lot of the immigrants trying to come over, and how do y'all feel about that? I mean, especially when you got the states like Florida. I think they're doing it in Texas too. Just sending making it so political. They just sending them to blue states. Putting them on a bus, and they have no idea what's going on, and just sending them elsewhere. And a lot of these immigrants that come over here are ready to work and do some of the jobs that we don't want to do, but the process of getting that work visa is so tedious.
You
It's
know,
hard for them to do that. I mean, even here in the city of Portsmouth, my trash can is still sitting out there.
uh-huh.
Haven't been picked up today, and I saw some people in other neighborhoods saying that because they're short staffed, they
Short of
can't
staff.
find people that want to do that kind of work, even though the pay is pretty good. So, I mean, what do?
I, I,
If
I
people
think
don't
it's
want the
really,
jobs,
I
you have
think
to find people that do
I think
want it.
it's really inhumane what they're doing to these individuals when you're
Mm-hmm.
leading them astray. You're telling them that you're sending them someplace. You're giving them false information, and it's almost like a false imprisonment. And you're sending them someplace where they have no idea where they're going. But the whole crux of the matter is that like Florida is doing this, but now Florida don't have people to work the orange groves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have people in the construction business. All of those areas where they have utilized underpaid immigrants for years, underpaid, giving them pennies on a dollar for years and years and years. They're the ones out there in the field dealing with those oranges, dealing with the vegetation and all of that, doing the building in Florida. Now they don't have these individuals, which means
Mm-hmm.
it's going to impact upon their economy. So they're playing a game with people's lives, but they're also playing a game with the citizens of Florida lives because they're going to be impacted by the decisions that are being made by DeSantis or whatever he wants to call his name now. But they're going to be a major impact on the economy in Florida.
It's
And
not going. It is already affecting
yeah,
their
yeah,
construction and their agriculture businesses there in Florida. And he is, and with DeSantis's war on women, because with the 6-week ban, the war on immigrants by busing them everywhere and keeping them from work. Because if you have a company over, I think 25 or 50 people, you have to have e-verify that they're American citizens. So that wipes out most of the big construction places. And so it is, and then his war on Black folks, we're trying to erase our history.
yep,
So here we have a pseudo, well, he wants to outright Trump. And Trump, we already know Trump has a white hood. So
yeah.
he wants to outwhite him to get the super white hood. And so, my opinion, So it has affected their economy. And then we got global warming where it's affecting their tourist industry down there.
Yes.
You can't even go to the beach. You know, the seawater is over 100
110
degrees.
degrees in the sea.
Yeah. And so that is being affected. And it's, you know, the state of Florida is a mess. And I agree also with the folks down the NAACP. If you're a person of color, do
Stay
not
away.
go.
Stay away from
You
Florida.
are not safe because they can
Yeah.
shoot you down and get away with it. And they've got a long history of shooting you down, going back to the young boy Trayvon,
Trayvon Martin.
on and on and on. They'll shoot you down in the state of Florida. They'll hunt you
That's
down.
that's why they're the masters of distraction. You know, all these things that y'all just mentioned are happening. Most people see it happening right in place. You wonder. Funny thing, you remember June bugs,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you
Junebug.
know, and they
Yeah.
used to always come out in June.
Yeah.
Here it is almost middle of August. June bugs still flying around. And that's just a joke. But anyway, it usually be out all summer. But didn't see any June bugs in June. But
Mhm.
late July and August, here come
Here
the
they
June
come.
bugs.
Here they
Can't
come.
even walk in your backyard. They're bumping into your head and everything. So something is awry.
Yep.
It is.
But anyway, they're the masters of distraction. All they, long as they talking about Biden and Hunter Biden and I didn't lose the election and not talking about anything that we're just talking about now, climate control or what's going on with the climate, and it's
Uh-huh.
happening all around us. In
Mhm.
the meantime, the rich are trying to figure out how to get off, go into space, and get out of here.
Mhm. I know. I
You
know.
better watch where to go out of space with, though. Can't go on a light rocket ship when you go now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, well, they can have. I'll take my chances here.
I'll take my chances on Earth
Yeah.
any day. Believe me,
Yeah,
that's for
Mhm.
sure.
I know. Me too. I'm
yeah.
staying.
Don't want to run into the little green men.
Yeah. I know. I know. Mm-mm-mm. It is
But
something.
anyway, we're getting close to the hour, and had another nice conversation and giving people that's watching a food for thought, and just giving us our honest opinion on things. And you might not agree with it, but if you don't, come up here and talk to us about it. Let us know how you feel about it. You might convince us to at least understand you. Still might not agree with you, but come up here and talk to us about it. And of course, we're going to try to get the chief up here and other people, hopefully within the city, that can answer some of these questions that we bring up here. That I know is some of the questions that you might have as citizens sitting out there. So that's why we try to be a voice for some of the citizens out there. But anyway, any last comments from the co-host?
Well, I would just like to say for those of you who have questions about the IC Norcom Grand Reunion coming up on September the 29th, 30th, and October 1st, your last date to purchase your tickets will be August the 31st. August the 31st, you can go online at icnaainc.org and you may purchase your ticket, or you can send a check to Post Office Box 3322, Portsmouth, Virginia 23701, IC Norcom Alumni Association. Your last opportunity to purchase your tickets will be on August the 31st. And that is $225 for the weekend. Friday night, our meet and greet with Gator Armin and his band. And we have our comedian, our very own Norcom graduate, She Ready, who will perform her comedy act. We are wearing our Norcom paraphernalia on Friday night, our Norcom gear. Coming out, we're going to take a stroll down memory lane on Friday night as we meet and greet our classmates. On Saturday, it is our fine affair, our former affair, our night of the Oscars for Norcom graduates, where every class was given an opportunity to nominate someone from their class. And we are honoring 45 notables, individuals who walked the walk that Mr. Norcom walked and give back to the community. So we're going to honor those 45
Mm.
notables.
No acceptance speeches. I can
No,
imagine
no,
45 people saying thank
no,
you.
There
and
would be
thanking everybody
there
that
would
they
be
ever
no
knew.
acceptance speeches. We are on a timeline. I
Mhm.
mean a straight timeline.
We'll
And we
be there till next year.
and we'll also be honoring 4 current Norcom students who have
Mhm.
exhibited school spirit, community spirit, and everything else. So we are looking forward to Saturday night. Doors open at 7 o'clock. And on Sunday, we will worship at Zion Baptist, where the first school, the Chestnut Street Academy, was held in Zion Baptist Church, and that is the precursor to IC Norcom High School. The first Norcom the graduation class was held at Zion Baptist Church. I think that was 1913, if I'm not mistaken. So we are going to celebrate at Zion Baptist Church. Over 80% of the membership there are Norcom graduates, and as well as the fact is Reverend Dr. Peggy Britt will be our musical director for that night for the alumni choir, that day for the alumni choir. And church service starts at 11 o'clock. The weekend costs $225, and we look forward to seeing each of you there.
Okay, if you pay that $225, do you have to drop money in the plate on Sunday?
You don't have to. You do as God leads you to do on Sunday.
Mhm.
If God leads your heart to drop that money in the plate, drop that money in the plate, okay?
Okay. All right. And next time, make sure you put together an alumni basketball game. Uh,
We're actually going to have one in October for the
no, okay.
homecoming. There will be one in October for homecoming.
Okay. Is there an age limit?
No age limit. You can get out there, James, and sit on the bench and be just as happy as you were when you were in high school sitting on the bench.
But
Just
Leah,
make sure you bring your medical card.
Yeah, but we're really excited, and
Mhm.
we're really excited about the weekend and some of the individuals who are coming into town, and just going to be a fine time for us to celebrate the life and times of Mr. Israel Charles Narcombe, who had a dream of providing quality education for young boys and girls so they can live the abundant life, is what he said. And so and prayerfully with the Alumni Association working with the school system, we can help and work with them so that we can get the educational component back to where it was before. And that's our goal.
Mhm. Leah, are any of the descendants of Norcom coming?
We have Miss Deirdre Smith. She is the granddaughter of Rachel Norcom Smith, the daughter of Henry Smith. She will be in attendance at the event.
Oh, she is? Okay.
And I was trying to get, because we're going to honor some of those who've gone on before, and I was hoping I can get someone from Mr. Waters' family to attend as well, because Mr. Waters was the longest serving principal at IC Norcom High School. Over 30, I think 35 years, he served as the principal of IC Norcom High School.
Hmm.
But Dee Dee Smith, she will be there.
Yeah, I remember Dee Dee used to play with Jamie. Whenever they came into town, both of them would
Yeah,
come from out of town during the summer and get
right,
together. Yeah.
right. I was
Yeah.
hoping
So,
I was hoping we'd be able to get James here. James is living in the Texas area.
mhm.
Mr. Savage said that he was going to try to contact him to see if he could get James here, but I have not heard any more in reference to that.
Hmm.
You know James, Colonel.
I know he's the operations manager for the University of Houston.
Get him here for us, Colonel. You can do that for us.
Yeah, last time he came is for his mom's funeral,
Yes, right. Yeah, I
and
saw
Mhm.
him
he
there
never
at his
comes back
mom's
for
funeral.
nothing.
Uh-huh.
He's been recluse, and he's got his own life down there.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I heard. That's what Mr. Savage told me. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, we're excited. We're excited about the weekend. A lot of
Mhm.
work, a lot of work. Few working in the vineyards, but we're getting it done. You know,
It's
we're
usually
getting
that
it
way.
done.
Only a few people do all the most of the work,
Exactly.
90% of the work.
Exactly.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
That's any case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. But it's all good. So I'd like to thank everybody for the other two hosts for coming on the show, and for those out there in Electron Land, thank you for listening in and viewing what we and taking part of what we had to say today. And you won't hear it anywhere else. And this is the Truth Station, and not like the Truth Social that Comrade Trump has. So that's my That's my last hit.
And hopefully we'll get John Gans back. We really want him on, and because he's from Texas and he has some strong opinions about what's going on in the world, uh, uh, internationally, and Army veteran used to jump out of planes, but and also our cousin,
Oh,
but
another one of them cousins.
Yeah.
another cousin, but
Okay.
he's right down there in Texas, and how he, well, being a strong Democrat like he has to, stick it out. But it's good to hear from somebody that's living right in that
Yeah,
in that kind of environment with that governor they have there,
Mhm.
and how they surviving, how they're making out. But anyway, next time we'll get
Eugene,
them on here next time. We might,
before we go, let's applaud the people of Ohio. They did not let the
Yes.
Republicans come in and confuse them into
Yes.
believing that something was one way when it was not. They came out, they voted, and they defeated that legislation that they had put on the books. So we're proud of the people of
Yes.
Ohio for coming out and
indeed,
standing up for their rights.
that's what it's all about, being an informed voter. And if
Exactly.
you're an informed voter, nobody can convince you otherwise.
Exactly.
And you can't, not trying to tell people which way to vote, but once you inform and know what's really going on, you'll make the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, and things won't get past you. So you're right, Leah. Much applause to them there, and hopefully we'll see some actions like that throughout the country when things when uh, people try to do some things that you know could affect a lot of people. You
Mhm.
know, don't want to be blind to all this stuff,
Yes. Yes.
and like we so often do,
Exactly.
Rise up.
then
Right.
wonder what happened.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's too
Yes.
late then. It's too late.
Get
All
it
right,
right.
co-host, and coming up, I was Leah. I was telling the Colonel, uh, not next Monday, but the Monday after, we have Roy Corby is coming on to give
Oh,
us an
he's
update.
on.
What's
Okay.
going on? What's
Okay.
going on with the casino? He's excited about coming on. Every time I would see him, he would say he's ready to come back
Yeah,
on.
every time I would see him, he
And
would say the same thing.
yeah, and plus, to talk about, they had the event with Mike Epps, which was sold out, and then coming up is the Spinners and the Commodores.
When is
Who,
that? I got
who,
to see that.
that's on the 9th of September. And whoever's left of them, I hope they still sound like it, but I don't think it's any
I
originals
don't think so.
in the Spinners. But it should be a nice dinner. And we needed something like that because you can't have all your shows at the pavilion during the wintertime. So we
Yeah.
needed a venue where we could bring in some national acts like that. And then you can't, at the casino, after the show, you don't have to go home if you don't want to.
Uh-huh. And
Go right next door,
I
drop
heard
some more money.
a little birdie said that they should be starting on the hotel soon.
Yeah, I figured that they would, you know, if they were successful coming out the block, that time that they were, looking at what they were going to do would be shorter than what people anticipated. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they want to go ahead and get that thing up because, especially if they start bringing in those national acts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wonder what style or what quality of hotel they're going to bring. That's a good question to ask.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be
So,
great. And then we
and,
can
and
and then we have an option enforcement. We need not be obligated to just
Right.
deal with one hotel.
Yeah.
We'll have an option, which would be a great thing.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
All right, people.
Okay.
Thanks again. And next week, next Monday, we're going to have some people from that might think a little different from us. I have two committed already, and still working on. I want at least one more. I wanted to try to get a lady on here that sort of have different views on what we talked about today. But I have two people coming in, so that should be an interesting show next Monday. So we'll advertise that and let you know what's going on with that. Like, we're going to have some citizens in here, and we're going to talk about some issues that we might differ on, but should be a very constructive conversation between citizens that think a little different. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next Monday.
Yes, yes.
And continue to join us and watch us here on Portsmouth Coffee Talks morning and evening shows.
Yes.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching.